I think we're live, so give me just a couple of seconds to verify on different platforms to see if this is actually live. Just give it a little bit. Okay, we are live on YouTube as well, on X as well, or / Twitter. I don't know if people are still referring to it as Twitter. I'm just used to the old habits. Maybe we can give a couple of seconds until the folks over YouTube and Twitter join the space, and just a couple of seconds until they join, and then we can get started. Okay. How was by the way, how was ECC for you? Have you attended ECC? I think so, right?
Yeah, I did attend. I didn't attend the official ECC event, but I went to Starknet CC and it was absolutely great. And I also attended a couple events around in Brussels. There was a lot of side events and the week was packed with meeting people and learning cool stuff.
Fantastic. Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. Although the random rains here and there was a bit terrible, but overall I think it was a really wonderful experience. Okie dokie. So we are folks are joining, so I think we can get this started. So welcome everybody. Hello everyone. Welcome to today's community call. I'm Robert, a developer advocate at the Starknet Foundation, and I will be your host for today. We're excited to have Roman, the CEO and founder of Walnut, as our invited speaker for this session. Our focus for today discussion is about debugging Starknet smart contracts, where we'll discuss in detail what Walnut is and how to use it, followed by an interactive demo where we'll actually debug a smart contract. For our viewers, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the YouTube chat section or X/Twitter previously, and we'll do our best to address them. Welcome, Roman. How are you doing, and what have you been up to lately?
Hi, Robert. Hi, everyone. Very excited to be here. Doing great. Lately, I've been busy finishing Walnut and getting it ready for a public launch, and I'm very excited to show everyone what does it do and why is it useful.
Fantastic. I'm also super excited to see exactly what you guys are cooking. So I guess without further ado, I will let you start presenting. So I'll just add this to the stage, and Roman, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Robert. This is not going to take too long. I would like to show you an example. What does it mean to debug Starknet transactions? Why do we need to debug transactions or contracts? So let me start with a story. There is Alice, and she wants to build a contract, obviously on Starknet. And this contract is going to have a function called getBeer. And anyone will be able to call this getBeer function and provide a proof of age. And if this age is above 18, the person is going to get a beer token. So the contract is going to essentially function like a beer shop. And then when someone comes, like Bob, they can claim I'm 18 and they can send this proof to the beer shop. And the shop is going to send them the beer tokens and they will drink it and they will enjoy it. So Alice builds this contract and she sends it to the Starknet mainnet. And people are claiming beers, calling transactions, everything is going well. This is how the function looks like from a high level. So this is the getBeer function. It has one parameter called ageProof. The first thing the function does is it's going to call the verify method on the verifier contract, and it will pass the ageProof. If this ageProof is good, if it's verified, everything will be fine. But if it's not good, an error will be thrown. So this is how the contract ensures that the person is over a certain age, that the proof is valid. The second thing it will do is it will extract age from the proof. And if the age is over 18, it will throw, it will be okay. But if it's less than 18, it will throw an error. So that's the second thing the contract does. And the last thing, if everything is fine, no error was thrown, it will send the beer tokens to the person. So this is the core logic of the contract. So again, it's being deployed. People are claiming beers. But then a few days later, Alice gets a message from Cecile. Hey, Alice, I wanted to get a beer and the transaction failed. It says I should be over 18. Cecile is claiming she is 18. Okay. Can you look into it? Well, Alice, what does she do? The usual stuff that all of the developers do. Did you get any error? Cecil is a great user, so she's going to send a transaction. Nice. So Alice can now jump on this transaction. So she opens the Explorer, and this is what she sees. The transaction was reverted, which is good. We have something, we can confirm there was actually an error. But besides this information, there is not much to learn. The contract is correct. This is the contract that Alice deployed. There was an error. It says it's not valid. There are some PC locations, but other than that, it's very confusing. So Alice is left in the dark. How can she actually figure out what happened in this transaction and why did it fail? So she goes back to the chat. She scrolls up. You can see that the person is claiming she's over 18. She doesn't know what to do. And that's where I can show you the Walnut demo. So I'll just switch the window. This is the transaction that I was talking about. It's a real transaction. By the way, let me actually increase.
Yeah, maybe you can zoom out. Perfect.
Yeah. Is this better now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is the transaction I was talking about, and just to show you that it's actually a real transaction, it's also available here. It happened a couple of weeks ago. This is the error I was presenting. It's exactly the same screenshot, and there are no internal calls. It's hard to say what happened in the transaction. So if you open the same transaction on Walnut, you get a call trace, and you can see that the user, in this case Cecile, she was using Argent, and she initiated the get beer function, and there was an error inside of this call, and we can see it here. And it says not valid, which is the error we also saw in the previous error. So Alice can go deeper, and she can see the internal function calls in this get beer call. She can see there was a call to verify, which went correct. There was a bunch of mathematics to verify the proof, and then there was a extract H call, which failed. The cool thing that Alice can also do is she can click this debug button to get the debugger. And yeah, it's all visible. So now what Alice is doing is she's kind of rerunning this transaction again in the browser. And she can see all of the source code of the contract behind the transaction. And she can also see the data when this transaction was called. So the getBeer function was called with these arguments. This is the proof, and then the number 18, which is the age. So everything is looking good. Then there was a call to the verify method, which now we are in the verify method. We are returning true. So I go next and next. So we're back in this section calling the verify method. The first asset was not called, so everything is looking fine so far. Now we're extracting the age from the age proof. So we are in the extract age function, passing these arguments, returning the age. It's returning 18, so everything is looking good. And here, this asset is going to get called. And someone might have noticed already there is a little error here. There's a bug. It should say more or equal. Currently, it only accepts 19 or more. So this is the bug. I was able, hopefully, to present on this very simple example why someone would like to rerun transactions and debug them. So at this point, Alice is good. She can go back. She can deploy an upgrade to the contract that is corrected and serve her customers in a better way. One more thing I would like to show just very quickly. If Alice wants to be 150% confident that this was the error, she can also use this resimulate feature at the top of the app. And what that does is she can rerun the transaction again on behalf of the sale, but change some of the call data. So here we are rerunning this transaction with the call data that was initially provided by sale. This is the line with the age. It's in hexadecimal, but so 12 means 18. So I'm going to change that to 19, and I will run this transaction again. So it's going to recalculate everything, and now we can see that the transaction succeeded. We get a new trace updated based on the simulation, and I can go and debug it again. And now, as you can see, the argument is 19, and I just hit next, 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 and go to the end to show you that in this case, so last time we failed on this asset, but this time it's going to continue and everything is fine. So now we are like 120% confident that everything is fine. And these simulations are usually useful for people to try things without spending gas or sending real transactions to the chain.
Fantastic. Yeah,
That's the
definitely
demo.
a very common bug, so to say. And I do like how you showed step by step how to kind of like identify this bug and then resimulate again. But maybe if you could explain a little bit like the interface to our viewers, like what is each component and like where are them, like how to get to the debugger and things like this.
You mean this interface?
Yeah, like the walnut interface, if you can explain it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So the big and important part is the search, where you can search for any transaction. So currently we support mainnet and Sepolia, but we're adding support for app chains or slot instances from cartridge, because the gaming studios are also interested in this tool. So you search for a transaction. You get a, let me actually go back to the transaction because I was in a simulation. Here you get some basic details about the transaction, like which chain did it happen on, which block. We will add the date as well. As you can see, the app is in beta, so we keep adding features every week. One of the most important tabs is the call trace, which is where you see details about all of the calls inside of this transaction. We have three types of calls. Call, the green one, means it's a call to a contract. So this is a contract, and this is the entry point. Then we have purple function, which stands for internal calls within a contract. So this get beer, this was an entry point on a contract. It had internal methods, verify and extract age, which were called by this get beer function. It's like a tree, so you can see what is calling what by just watching the indentation. And the last thing is an error. You can expand the call to get some more details about it. So this is a call to a contract. I can see details about the caller address, but also about gas, about the error message in this case, because there was an error. You can also see the input parameters. So at this point, you can see that this parameter was called with these values, and you can see the source code. The second most important thing is the debugger, which you can launch by clicking on the bug. So basically, you can click all of these bugs, and it will always open the debugger in this particular call. So if I click on extract H, I will be in the extract H function. It's just a shortcut so that you don't need to debug the whole thing. This is a simple transaction, but in many cases, it has like hundreds of calls, and you're usually interested only in a handful. So you can get to a specific place in the debugger. The last tab is the events tab, which is emitting events, showing events in case the contract emits anything. In this case, there are no events, so it doesn't show anything.
Got it. And I have a question on the call trace. So initially you said that the function, the purple one, is basically internal calls, right? To the smart contract. What would happen if, for example, in an internal, I might get this wrong, but in an internal function, you have a dispatcher that calls an external contract. Would then be a like a different like visualization or?
I wonder if I can show you. So in that case, it would just add another green call inside
Okay.
of this function. And this is actually something we shipped today. So it's a nice, I was just
Okay.
writing an announcement on our Twitter. Before, the external calls were kind of grouped at the bottom, but it didn't make much sense. Currently, we properly put them in the right places. So you will see it here. And maybe I'll be able to quickly pull up an example while you're maybe asking another question.
Fantastic. Yeah, for our viewers, please do note this is like a live demo, so everything is going well, and I'm really excited about this. And maybe another question when we reach the simulation, like the transaction simulation, will the call data be always in hex, or will it be like in a different view as well, like decimals or whatever the expected values are for those particular fields?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's currently only in decimals, but it's something we have in the backlog, and we hope we'll be able to do this soon so that people can convert it for easier understanding. Like in this case, it would be much better to just show the decimal instead of hexadecimal.
Fantastic. Are you using any type of tool for the conversion, or do you recommend anything for the audience?
No, but if you know anything, we would like to use it.
I know one. It's called there's called Raycast, if I believe, and then there inside the Raycast you have like a converter for Starknet, and it's quite a handy tool to use. Like you can convert anything to any different field. So
Okay, super cool. I'll check it out.
I think if you Google Raycast Starknet shortcuts, you should be able to find it, and it's quite useful in case of um, if
Yeah,
you're
I'm
working
doing
with.
it so that we can maybe show. Oh, yeah.
So this one, yeah. So
This,
it's quite a handy tool and has a lot of things to do, and I've been using this for that purposes. Okay,
very nice.
fantastic.
Shout out to Apur for building it.
Yeah, definitely shout out to him. Cool. So then, anything else to show us, or should we go straight to some questions as well?
We can go to questions, and I think I just found the transaction, so I'll try to open it.
Okay, let's see the transaction then. Cairo Master, I like it. And also, kudos to the presentation. I think the animation was really good, and hopefully Bob is happy after that beer. It's fantastic. I
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. And yeah, the transaction loaded, and as you can see, there is a external call inside of this tree. So in this case, there's a verify contract calling some internal functions. And then this calculation proof was calling an external contract. So in this case, we just presented as green. In the debugger, there currently is this middle step. So this is really a work in progress. We launched, as I told you, this correct positioning of external calls within the call trace. What we're going to work on next week is to make the debugger smoothly kind of go through all of the contracts and navigate them. Currently, we just say that there was a contract call. This step is going to change into a just smooth transition into the next and correct line in the source code.
Fantastic. Super exciting news then. Okay, so then like if the audience has any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments, but I do have some of my own. And mainly the first one is about transactions. I saw you can simulate transactions. So I'm really curious, like what type of transaction can you simulate? Can you simulate like failed transactions or maybe reverted transaction? Is that possible?
Yes, absolutely. And that's probably one of the key use cases that people are looking for. Usually you want to debug a failed transaction. So it's something we are focusing on initially. That's also the example I was using in the demo. But interestingly, we also learned as we kind of went through talking with users and building this tool that this tool is also useful for debugging successful transactions, which kind of doesn't make sense from the English perspective. We're not debugging a successful transaction, but just getting more details about a successful transaction. And this is useful for people who are dealing with MEV, for example, who just want to explore some successful MEV for like learning, and also for auditors. If there is a successful hack, someone wants to go really deeply into it to understand it and ensure that it doesn't happen again.
Great, fantastic. Yeah, that's definitely also helpful to test all sorts of transactions, even valid transactions. So that's extremely helpful. Now, maybe a follow-up question or like next question is you kind of like see that each functions, how it operates, and maybe is it possible to kind of like see the amount of cost and do some optimization for the smart contract in that sense?
It's a great question. It's something we are planning for next, and it's also something people are asking us for uh, because one of the users we're chatting with is games, and they have hundreds, like tens of thousands of lines of code. The applications are quite heavy, so gas optimization is important for them. Currently, the only thing we show is we show the initial gas in the call, but what we would like to build, but that's for like the next couple of months, is a detailed call trace or a gas profile where you can see which function call is consuming how much gas, so that you can kind of figure out which part of the application is the most expensive and where should you focus to optimize.
Great. I think that that's going to be super helpful, especially for game developers and to kind of like see their contracts and also interact with their smart contracts as well. Super exciting. Um, so then maybe just a question then, like for the future is like how's the roadmap for Walnut and what are you guys cooking for the next 6 months or to say?
Yeah, so currently we're laser focused on getting the things polished and done. I already presented one problem with the internal call trace not working in the debugger, but there are a couple of more things that we need to improve. Like just an example, as you can see on internal functions, we have the argument values, but on external calls, they are currently missing. So there are details like this which are quite time consuming because they involve mapping from the low-level virtual machine bytecode and memory to the initial source code. So we're just working on that and making this work. What I presented like properly. That's our focus right now. We hope will be done in the next 1 to 2 months. And then we want to open up the application to a general public, support them. And the next big feature that we're thinking about is the gas profiling that we already mentioned, and building, like providing more details about the gas consumption so people can optimize their contracts and transactions.
Okay, that's definitely sounds exciting. And maybe just a follow-up question, since you mentioned open up to the public. When mainnet, or like when can developers can interact with the tool?
Yeah, good question. So publicly, we will launch it hopefully in the next 2 months or around fall. But we are looking for early testers and people who want to try it out with their transactions and work with us closely, report issues, suggest improvements. We already have some users, but we would like a bit more. So if you are interested, please reach out. And there was actually a QR code I had prepared for this. So let me just pull it up very quickly. Yeah. So when can you use it? You can just today, yes, and you can send me a DM and tell me just more about you. What are you building? Why do you want to use it? And we would love for you to try it out and share feedback.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. You heard it, folks. If you want to be an early access tester, feel free to reach out to Roman. I think that's his Telegram or maybe something
Yes,
else.
yeah, this is my Telegram.
But I guess maybe just another question, like besides Telegram, what would you recommend, the folks to get around Walnut, read more about Walnut, and how to get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would recommend our website, which is at walnut.dev. You can give us your email and we will send you a notification when we launch. You can learn more about our open positions because we're hiring. And the second best place for, like we have a blog and a changelog, so you can check that out. The second best place is our GitHub, where we sorry, I opened Twitter, but I was talking. I wanted to do this. Our GitHub, where you can learn more about our repositories and projects. Many of them are open, and we're looking for contributors. And one more place where you can find us that I would like to mention is OnlyDust. We have active projects there. So if you're looking to contribute, you can find Cairo VM codes and Walnut are the ones that are probably the most interesting.
Fantastic. I've added some of those links in the chat. So for the people, I think on YouTube, they have access to these links. And if not, then you can just type it out yourself. But yeah, thank you again for sharing this with us. And yeah, if anybody's interested to learn more about Walnut or even get as an early tester, and feel free to check out the website or even DM Roma. Okay, I
Yeah,
think
just DM me.
yeah, DM sliding is DM basically. So I think we're just kind of like reaching an end to our community call. Maybe just like a question, if you have any closing remarks for the audience. You can
No,
share your journey, how everything started, or whatever you can think of.
Oh, okay. Maybe I can just put a couple of words. So if anyone is interested in building their own projects, I would like to say that Starknet is a great place and it's very welcoming. The way we started is we went to Istanbul last year. There was a hacker house. We were invited them. Starknet paid. We were invited there. Starknet paid for us, so it was very easy for us to go, and that's where we built the MVP. We got access to the foundation. We met amazing people like Robert here, and they helped us, continue in our journey. They gave us some support, and not just financial support, but also mentorings and sessions and marketing help. So maybe this way, I would also like to thank Starknet and say that the programs they have are super cool. So if you're interested in building something, go for it. I think it's a great time.
Fantastic, and it's always very joyful for me to hear success stories and such as yours and with Walnut. Like things develop so nicely over the last few months, and I'm super happy to hear about that. So yeah, maybe for our folks who are watching, if you're interested in something like this, we do plan to have another hacker house coming up soon. But we'll start with Basecamp. So Basecamp is going to be it's kind of like a 5-week course where you'll kind of like be onboarded to Starknet, learn about Cairo, and it's going to start on the 15th of August. I put a link in the chat below, and if you're interested to start your journey with Starknet, feel free to start there, and we'll see you there. But I think that's about it. Roman, thanks again for being here. It was a fun walkthrough of Walnut, and I'm looking forward to use it in my daily dev activities. To our viewers, thank you for joining and tuning in to this community call, and I'm wishing everybody a fantastic day. See you to the next one. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.